Ois Zayin. The Rebbe continues, V'hinei av she'ha'avodah demaise hamitzvos he hey achroino. So as we explained before, in the level of Yud K Vav K in Avodas Ha'odah, the level of Hey, the last Hey Yud K Vav K, is the Avodah Maisa Mitzvah. That's the last Hey, which is Shalamato Meisa Katoida Shuhu Havov, which is below the level of occupation of Torah, which is the Vav of the Yudki Vavki. The Vav comes before the Hey. So it would appear that the Maisa HaMitzvahs, that is the Hey, is on a lower level than the occupation of Torah. But the Rebbe will explain that while we had said earlier that even Torah, which comes from Chokhmah, is based on the Rotzen, but since it comes from such a Rotzen, which eventually comes down into Chokhmah, that means that the level of Rotzen has already a Shaykhs to the level of Chokhmah, as opposed to the level of Maisa HaMitzvahs, which comes down into the Gashmiyis over there of Asiya. Over there, the Rotzen is a Poshut and it's a higher level of Rotzen. So if the Rebbe had a Mizeh Gufa move on, so from this itself is understood the Yeshmaile b'mitzvahs legabe Torah, that there is an advantage with mitzvahs with regards to Torah. As explained at length in the Maimer of above, Shahatoiro im heyosh sheshar shorot elyon v'chulu shalamayla ma'choch makinal, that even though Torah, the root of Torah is Hashem's supreme will, which is higher from the level of Chokhmah, as the Rebbe said earlier, but still, when we talk about the Rotzin of Torah, Harei Harotzin, the Torah Nislabish b'Chokhmah. The Rotzin of Torah dressed up in Chokhmah. The Mizeh Muchach, so from this it's evident Sherotzin Zeh Gam Lifnei Hislabish Shusay. B'Chokhmah, even before it dresses up in Chokhmah, Urotzin Shemurchov Be'ezer Dover, it's a Rotzin which is Murkov, it is combined from some matter. Mashein Kain Harotzin the mitzvahs, as opposed to the Rotzin of mitzvahs, Urotzin She'einei Murkov, that's a Rotzin which is not a combined Rotzin, but rather that is a Rotzin Atzmi, which is higher than any any aspect mixed into it. It's just pure Rotzin. It's not Murkov, it's not made up with nothing else. Rotzin, the mitzvahs, because the Rotzin for mitzvahs, Ubasiya bepoyel davke. The Rotzin of mitzvahs, Shem's will to do the mitzvahs is the actual practical doing of the mitzvahs. Ki ha'asiya bepoyel begashmis, because when we talk about the practical doing the mitzvahs physically, Eina be'erech klal is not compared at all to the Hashem's Ratzon. It's a totally distant. It is totally removed from the spiritual Ratzon in the practical doing. ubemela, and because it is so distant, ein shayich loymar, so it doesn't really fit to say shaharotze nislabish behamaisa, that Hashem's will dressed up in the action. When we talk about the Eibishter's Rotzin as it dresses up in Torah, over there we say that the Rotzin dresses up in Chochmah, in the Chochmah of Torah. But because the Chochmah, the level of that Giluyim, has a somewhat of a relationship to the Rotzin, so that we can say that Hashem's Rotzin dresses up in Chochmah. But when we talk about Maisa, we talk about the act of mitzvahs, it doesn't fit to say that the Rotzin dressed up in action. When you say that one thing dresses up in the other, it means that there is a relationship between them. It dresses up in something. Ki inyan ha-hislapshus hu bedover shebe'erech davke, because the idea of hislapshus, of dressing up, is only in an item which has a relationship. And that's why. So what is the rotzin? Shebemaisa, the rotzin of the Eibishter that is in the action, the physical maisa hamitzvahs, rotzin she'einoi melubosh ve'einoi murkav b'shum davar. It's a desire which isn't dressed up and it's not combined with nothing else. Because there is nothing really that is in the level of dressing it up. It's not dressed up in anything. It just comes out in Maisa B'Poel. Now, not only is the Rotzin of mitzvahs a higher level of Rotzin, a Rotzin Sheina Murkav, which is higher than the level of Rotzin, which is in Torah, but actually through the act of mitzvahs, we actually also increase and elevate the level of our understanding in Torah. So the mitzvahs add to the Havonas HaTorah, to understanding of Torah. They add to the Torah. Not only do the Maisa mitzvahs have an advantage because they have the expression of the Rotzin Ha'elyon, which is not Murkov as opposed to Torah, but they, in the top of that, they also help Torah. By day, Maisa HaMitzvahs, through the act of mitzvahs, Mitoisef Aliyah, Gam B'Ha'avona V'Hasoga, the Torah, also in the understanding and the grasp of Torah. So it quotes the Pasuk, explains, it says, Tu Tam Vadas Lamdeni. So we're talking about the good understanding, reasoning, and knowledge. Teach me. So we're talking about Hasoga and Chochmas HaTorah, Tuv Tam Vadas. Good reasoning and good learning, Lamdeni. And he gives the reason, because in your mitzvahs, I believe, not only does he do mitzvahs, the mitzvahs help him to become Tuv Tam Vadas, because mitzvah, but he does the mitzvahs in a way of emunah, of total dedication, that adds to the Tam Vadas Lamdeni to Dalidei Kiyum HaMitzvahs, through the performance of the mitzvahs, which is b'mitzvah secho, your mitzvahs, obeferat, and especially kishekiyum HaMitzvahs who loy mitzat hatam v'hakavan, especially when the performance of the mitzvahs is not based on the reason and the intent, Berak mitzad emuna pshuta, only because the simple faith. So he does mitzvahs not for any intention or reason, but it is done out of simple faith, which is ha'emonti. The mitzvahs help you get a better understanding in Torah, magim letuv tam vadas b'Torah. That's how you reach the good, the reason, and the knowledge of Torah. Ches. So now we're also going to go back to explain the pasuk, how the different levels of Gan Eden are only the preparation for the level of La'asid Lava, in which there was going to be the Pshitus, the Ein Sof, the Seviv Kol Almin. And the way that we get the level of Gan Eden, we get through the level of Torah. The Torah we learn here, that's the revelation that comes down, the Eira Memali that comes in Gan Eden. But the level of mitzvahs we just explained, which is the Ratzon HaPashut, that Gilui comes La'asid Lovin. And to go from the level of Bemale, from the level of Gan Eden, to come to the level of Soibev, Hore Besomim, you need Brach Doidi, which means to run. This is a total jump. So, and this is the meaning of Ayesheves Beganim. Sits in the Ganim, which is the level of Malchus, which shines and comes down in the Gan Eden, and then we say Brach Doidi, my beloved runs al Hore Besomim, on the mountain of Besomim. Or his Rebbe is going to teach also from Hore Bashamayim into the level of Seviklam. In the Yedua, for behold, it's known Shahagilu Shebegan Eden who be Iker Zeshem is Gal Lahanishamis. What is the revelation? What is the enjoyment? What is the revelation that takes place in Gan Eden? So mainly is that it's revealed lahanishamis, to the souls that are in Gan Eden. The inner and the godliness of the Torah that they learn below. So below we learn the Torah, and when they come in Gan Eden, they experience the inner and the godliness of the Torah they learn. As opposed to the revelation of the Ein Sof, the mitzvahs that bring down. So what the Torah that you learn, the Pnimis Delikus, you get in Gan Eden. But what about the revelation of the Ein Sof that comes through mitzvahs? That's mainly going to be revealed in the future to come. As we say, the schar mitzvahs b'hai al moleka, the reward for mitzvahs in this world doesn't exist, which would mean even in Gan Eden, you don't have the reward of the mitzvahs, the hamshocha, that you bring down through the mitzvahs, the Seviv Kol Almin. You don't have that in Gan Eden either. Gan Eden, you only have the level of Torah, the Pnimis Elikus, which is all in the level of Memaluklam. Because in the future, Sha'oz, in the future, you hagilu the Eir HaSeviv, then there will be the revelation of light of Seviv. The Eir L'mayla Yosef, and even higher than Seviv, in higher of She'yiyeh Gilu HaAtzmus, there will be the revelation of the Atzmus. V'zehu Sha'giluyim Delosid Loven Nikroyim Horei B'Somim. It's called in the pasuk Brach Doidi al Hore B'Somim. So he recites it's called Hore Bashamayim. Even in the Shamayim, these are Horim. Hainu Horim Shebeshamayim. That's means it brings down from Medrash Rabbah that the taich over there it's the mountains in Shamayim. What is Shamayim? Shemayim hey makifim kol olam. Shemayim are to surround all the world. V'horim sheba shemayim. What is the mountain sheba shemayim? Shegam b'shemayim. Hem horim beiltim. That even the shemayim, they're still considered protruding mountains. That's even a higher level than Sovev. That represents the level of atzmos. U'inyan gilu ha'atzmos shalamaylo gam Sovev. That's the idea of revelation of atzmos, which is even higher than Sovev. So of this we say, run on these mountains, or the Hari Bashamayim, in these mountains, on this high level, because when we try to compare the revelation of Memale, which we get in Gan Eden, which the Yeshavas Baganim, if you want to measure it relative to the revelation of the Shamayim, which comes Barach Doidi, the Shamayim lost love it. For sure, if it's more than just the Shamayim, but it's the Hari Bashamayim, which is the level of Atzmus within the Shamayim, the higher level in Shamayim itself. So that's really, there's no comparison at all. It says, so when we say there's no comparison at all, this, we're also saying that when we talk about Atzmus, even Sovev is Ein Arich. And the Gabe HaAtzmus, the Hore Bashamayim, Gam HaSovev Hu Ein Arich. Even the level of Sevu Klam is no comparison at all. Kosu, as the pasuk says like this, it says, "Rabbis osiso, you have done many." The rabbis means Malu Klam, Sevu Klam osiso. It's all asiya, and it teaches out whether it's nifla isecha. That is the level of the Giluyim of Sovev, or it's the level of Machshavei Secha, which is the Giluyim of Mamale, Eleinu, that's all to us, but Eilecha Einarechelecha. Relative to Eilecha, to the Atzmus, there's still no comparison. But it teaches. Rabbis, many Asisahem Klolus Kola Giluyim, that the general of all Giluyim, the many of both Seviv Mamale, of Seviv Male Shenikro Rabbis, that's called Rabbis. Aderech Mashakosu Bezoyar, similar to what the Zoyar says, my Rabbis, Gedolos, Eloin V'Rabrivin. It is upper and big, many. Gedolos, Rabbis, Gedolos, Eloin V'Rabrivin. And the pasuk says here, therefore, rabbis, all these levels, rabbis sosiso, it's all asiya, the whole hagiluyim, that all of these revelations, im heyoisom rabbis, even though they are many. What does it mean? Eloin v'rabrivin, higher and many. Hem kemoyasi legabe yisborach. Gabi Yisbarach. Gabi Eberster Rabbis Asisa. It's only Asiya. Legabe Hashem, legabe him, Yisbarach, it's all Asisa. Mapsha, because the pasuk continues, Niflo Yisecho, Machshav Yisecho. So Niflo Yisecho, Heim Hagiluyim de Sovev. Niflo Yisecho is the Giluyim of Sovev, which is the level of Pella, the wonders, which is Shalamayla Mehishtalshlus, that represents Sefer Klal. And that's the revelation of Male. And he says, Shekol Hagilui, the Niflo Yisecho, Machshav Yisecho, Urak Elenu. that the entire revelation of Niflei Sechel, Machshavei Sechel, which is Sevim Malei, it's only Elenu, it's only for the people. Abu Lugabe Yisborich, or Lugabe the creations, but relative to Hashem, Heim Ein Arich. There's no Ein Arich Elecha. V'ham Shochosom. How do you bring it down? Is Agido v'Adabeiro. The pasuk said, "Ein Arich Agido v'Adabeiro." Hagoda v'Dibur hu in Hamshocha. That's the idea of speaking and saying, which is the Hamshocha. Ma'atzmu Seirin Sof. How does it come down? Yal Yidei Ribui Tzimtzumim Otzmu Misaper. As the pasuk says there, Ein Erech Elecha Otzmu Misaper. There's more than you can count. There's infinite levels of Tzimtzumim. So basically, relative to Atzmus, everything is Ein Erech, including Seviv Klal. So Bekivon, Shahasoivev Mekolshkin Ha'atzmus Hem Lamaila Mekili. Since the Seviv and certainly the Atzmus is beyond revelation. Lachein. So that's why we need to have first Gan Eden. How is their revelation in the future to come? That's by first introducing. First, we have the level of Mamala Shemeir Began Eden. That shines in Gan Eden. Shinyone Deir HaMamali Hu Gilui. The idea of Mamali is Gilui, that's revealed in Gan Eden. And once we start with revelation, we have revelation. That's why it's Tafkir through Gan Eden, so that revelation, also those aspects which are on their own are in a level of hidden, they come down openly. So it turns out that the lower level of Gan Eden prepares us for the higher level of Lasid Lavai, which is going to be the revelation of Seviv and Atzmus. And what happens is that the higher level of Atzmus is really in the Maisa HaMitzvahs. That's why that's revealed in Dafke La'osid Lovim, Mashenki, in the Gilu of Torah, which is Giluyim, that comes in Gan Eden. He's going to explain now that while the elevation of the Maisa HaMitzvahs takes place through Torah, through the Gan Eden prepares for the Hamshachas HaAtzmus, but that way they also end up on a higher level. So the Gan Eden ends up on the higher level through preparing for Lasid Lovi. Let's look inside. That's Yesh Leisu Bazer. We can add in here Shu Al Derech HaYedua, similar to what's known by Pirush in the explanation when we say Chaverim Makshivim Lekoilach. The friends listen to your voice. Who are these Chaverim? Those are the angels. In one shot, Chaverim He Malacha Hashoris. And they are the angels, but in one shot is what means Behe Makshivim Lekoilach. They pay attention to your voice, Lekoilach Torah Vatfila the Yisrael, to the voice of Torah and Davning of a Yid. Why are they paying attention to do what with that? Since the voice and the speech of a person is physical, in order for the davening, the learning and the davening of the person should elevate physical Torah and tefillah. How do we elevate above? Turns out that the angels, they refine the Torah and tefillah. As the Zohar says, the Gofif Lohoinu, Menashik Lohin, they hug them and they kiss them. They take the words of Torah, they elevate it from their physical stance, and they make them spiritual to elevate it. But then the malachim who help the Torah, then they benefit from the Torah that they had helped elevate. Through the fact that the angels elevate the letters of Torah and Tefillah of the Yidden, Pirush Hanal, which is the above mentioned explanation, Makshivim Lekoilach, that we said before, Makshivim Lekoilach, that they help the Gofif of Manashiklon, they make the physicality and the Torah mitzvahs spiritually. In Bischar we have the second interpretation. Hey, Makshivim Lekoilach, they listen to your voice, they receive the higher level that the Yidden have in their Torah mitzvahs. Hey, Mekablim, Ma'oisis HaTorah VaTfilah the Yisrael. They receive from the letters of Torah and Tefillah of the Yidden. Shehem Nailim Harbe Yoser Mehamalachim, which are much greater than the Malachim, until it is a uncomparable elevation. So we see first the Malachim help the Torah of the Yidden go up, and then they receive from the Torah Makshivim Mekoilach to an infinitely greater level than the Malachim themselves. Similar, it's also with the revelations that will be in the future. Although they're much elevated, greater, infinitely, uncomparably greater than the Galuyim of Gan Eden, since the Giluyim of the future is the light which comes through the physical doing of the mitzvah, that's in this physical world. Can't take it directly from this world to Lasid Love, because still at the end of the day, while it does have the oir inside of the mitzvahs that were mamshich, but it's still physical dvarim. So you need lachein tzrichim hem liyizdachech. So therefore, they need to refine al yidei she'olim legan Eden, by going up to Gan Eden. The Gan Eden hu mezuchach v'tachlis. Gan Eden is totally refined. So when the Torah mitzvahs go up to Gan Eden, they get refined over there because it's totally refined. Because in Gan Eden there is no allowance for any sins. As known, the reason why was Adam Arishain chased out of Gan Eden. Because the Gan Eden doesn't tolerate the existence of sin. Since Adam Arishain sinned, it chased them out. So that means it's a refined place. But now, after you go up to Gan Eden, but still, even after the Torah mitzvahs go up, or the mitzvahs that go up, the Gashmis, the mitzvahs, and they're nizdach in Gan Eden, hine etzem ha-mitzvah eine meir begilui, so the mitzvah itself, which is there, it has shevev, that doesn't shine openly, only har bilvad de'er mala. But through this, through the level of the Erev Malach, which is the idea of bringing things down revealed, that in the future will bring about the Etzem mitzvah, the Gilu of the mitzvah itself, and even higher, not only Seve, but Hori Bashamayim, the mountains Shamayim, which is the Gilui of Pshitas HaAtzmas, the revelation of the simplicity of Atzmos himself.